Welcome to this comprehensive tutorial on tasting and assessing spirits. Hopefully by the end of this session, you will understand better how to use the WSET Level 3 Systematic Approach to Tasting Spirits, or the SAT. Let's get started. When you sit your final tasting examination, you will be faced with two blind samples. You will have exactly 30 minutes to do three things for each sample. Produce a complete and accurate description, use that description to assess the quality level, and identify the spirit's category and type. The exam is worth 50 marks in total, 25 per spirit, and you need 28 marks to pass. Now, before we even pick up a glass, we need to calibrate our vocabulary. In everyday language, we often mix up taste, smell, and flavor. For the exam, we must be precise. Aroma refers strictly to the sense of smell when the spirit is in the glass. Flavor refers primarily to the sense of smell when the spirit is in your mouth, detected retronasally. Taste is detected by the tongue, specifically sweetness and bitterness. Touch is the physical sensation in the mouth, which we will assess as texture. Every spirit you taste is the result of 4 production stages: processing the raw material, alcoholic fermentation, distillation, and post-distillation operations. Your goal as a taster or evaluator is to find the evidence of these stages in your glass. So let's break down the SAT step by step. Why don't you go ahead and have that SAT card in front of you. So we're going to begin with appearance, which is worth 2 marks. Now there is a golden rule for the SAT that you must memorize. If a line contains options separated by a hyphen, you must select one and only one of those terms. If you write pale to medium, you will receive 0 marks, even if the spirit falls somewhere in between. The 2 marks for appearance come from intensity and color. For intensity, the scale is water white, pale, medium, deep, or opaque. Each term covers a specific portion of the spectrum. Medium covers a broad middle ground, so do not reserve deep only for the darkest spirit you have ever seen. For color, just select the most appropriate hue from the list, such as colorless, lemon, gold, amber, or brown. But what if you have a clear, unaged spirit like a Blanco tequila or a London dry gin? You must write water white for intensity and colorless for color. It might feel like you're saying the same thing, but you must write both to get your 2 marks. And while you should observe clarity and other observations like louching or particles, there are no marks awarded for these in the exam. And rest assured, the samples that you will receive in your exam will be completely clear, fault-free, and will not louche. Now let's assess the nose, which is worth 5 marks. Because examination samples are guaranteed to be fault-free, there are no marks awarded for condition, clean versus unclean. Your first mark comes from aromatic intensity. This is another hyphenated line: neutral, light, medium minus, medium, medium plus, pronounced. Because so many spirits fall into the medium-ish category, WSET divides it into those 3 parts. So you can specify if it's on the lower end, right in the middle, or on the higher end of medium. Again, pick exactly 1. The remaining 4 marks are for aroma characteristics. This is where many students lose easy points because they don't understand how the marks are allocated. Aromas in a spirit come from up to 4 sources: raw materials, as in grain, agave, sugarcane, or those botanicals; processing, we're talking fermentation esters like banana or apple, or even distillation choices; then oak and maturation, think of vanilla, cedar, or rancio notes like leather and mushroom; and then our additions, which are post-distillation flavorings. The examiners will allocate 1 mark for each aroma group present in the spirit. If you are tasting a bourbon, the examiner expects to see descriptors for the grain, the fermentation/distillation process, and the oak. If you only list oak descriptors like vanilla, tan, and cedar, you will only receive 1 mark because you completely missed the raw material and processing groups. Once 1 mark has been awarded for each present group, the remaining marks are given for any other valid descriptors up to the maximum of 4. And here's a crucial tip regarding this lexicon. You must use specific descriptors. Do not use group terms. If you write there is an aroma of raw materials or it smells like cereal and citrus, you will get 0 marks. Cereal and citrus are broad group terms. You must be specific. Write sweet corn, rye bread, lemon peel, or grapefruit. You do not have to memorize the entire lexicon, but you probably should, and you can use your own descriptors, but just make sure they are specific. Now, the palate is the most heavily weighted section, worth 10 marks. First, sweetness. This is again a hyphenated scale: dry, off-dry, medium, sweet. Note that dry means no perceptible sugar, and sweet is generally reserved for liqueurs, which you're not going to get in your exam. We use off-dry for spirits that have a small detectable amount of added sugar. This is like most cognacs, and some aged rums fall perfectly into this category. Then we have our flavor intensity, which is marked exactly like aroma intensity. You just need to pick 1 term from that hyphenated scale. Then we move on to flavor characteristics, which operates exactly like aroma characteristics. There are generally 4 marks available here, allocated across the flavor sources: raw material, processing, oak. Just like on the nose, if you miss a source group, you forfeit that allocated mark. Now we reach a critical area where many students fail: texture. There are 2 marks available here, but you must write your comments on texture in full, brief sentences. You cannot use bullet points. To get full marks for texture, you should aim to describe the 4 pillars of mouthfeel. Starting with alcoholic warmth. Is it gentle, glowing warmth, or is it sharp, fiery, and aggressive? Viscosity. Is the liquid watery and thin, or is it oily, rich, and mouth-coating? And then just the feel. Is it soft and silky, or coarse and astringent? Is there a noticeable bitterness? And then shape. This is a hard one. How does it evolve? Does it start sharp and finish soft? Let me give you an example of an inadequate texture note. The spirit is warm and smooth. This is too generic and will not score well. Another bad example is, it is watery with an oily texture. This is contradictory, and this will earn 0 marks. A good texture note looks more like this. The spirit has a gentle warmth that builds in intensity, leaving the finish slightly hot. The liquid is highly viscous, mouth-coating and rich, with a soft, silky feel that balances the alcohol. Notice how it tells a story of how the spirit behaves in the mouth over time. This is our shape of a spirit. And then finally, the palate concludes with the finish. There is 1 mark for length: short, medium minus, medium, medium plus, long, and 1 mark for nature: neutral, simple, some complexity, very complex. You're just going to pick 1 from that hyphenated line. Don't balance and try to pick 2. Now we've reached the conclusions section. This is worth 8 marks. This is where you have to prove you truly understand the spirit. So let's start with the identity, worth 2 marks. You must correctly identify both the category and the type. For example, writing just bourbon gets you 1 mark. You must write American whiskey, bourbon, to get both marks. If it is a Caribbean rum, you must specify if it is wood-aged or not wood-aged. Next is the quality level. This is worth 1 mark, and you have to select, again, just 1 term from faulty, poor, acceptable, good, very good, outstanding. Don't write very good to outstanding because you will get 0 marks. Now, the remaining 5 marks are for your argument for that quality. To get these marks, you must write a minimum of 5 different valid statements in full sentences. To guarantee maximum marks, I recommend aiming for 6 or 7 distinct comments. Your argument needs to be based on two core criteria: balance and expressiveness, alongside length and complexity. Now let's break down how to formulate these sentences, like as far as the balance of aromas and flavors. Do the aromas complement each other? For example, the tropical fruit esters are perfectly balanced with the rich vanilla oak notes, neither overpowering the other. What about the textures, the balance of the textures? Does the mouthfeel support the alcohol? For example, the sharp, fiery heat of the high-proof alcohol is nicely balanced by a rich mouth-coating oiliness. Then on to expressiveness. This is a tricky one for a lot of folks. Are the flavors generic or are they highly defined? An example would be the aromas are exceptionally well defined and expressive, clearly telling the story of an extended, slow fermentation. And then your complexity and length. For example, the spirit has an outstanding length where the complex rye, spice, and cedar notes continue to develop long after the liquid has left the palate. One thing to be aware of is the trap of contradictions. Your quality argument must match your tasting note. If your tasting note says the finish is short, but in your conclusion you write the spirit is outstanding because of its incredible length, you're going to get 0 marks for that statement because you contradicted your own evidence. You must provide evidence derived from your tasting note. And then finally, your arguments just must correlate to the quality level that you chose. The examiners will use sort of this template. Outstanding is going to require 4 distinct positive arguments. Very good is going to require 3 positive arguments and 1 query, a minor flaw, or something that could be better. Our goods have 2 positives and maybe 2 could be betters. Acceptable is something that's positive and then 3 that are questionable. If you call a spirit very good, but every single comment you write is glowing and 100% positive, you have failed to explain why it isn't outstanding, and you will lose that mark. If it is only very good, tell the examiner why. Perhaps the complexity is just slightly lacking, or the finish is a bit too aggressively hot. Let's quickly talk about exam strategy or execution. When you walk into the exam room, you're going to have 30 minutes for those 2 blind spirits. You're not going to be allowed to take the SAT card in with you. Because of this, I strongly recommend that the moment your exam begins, just write down a memory aid, a quick skeletal outline of the SAT on your scratch paper. Write down appearance, intensity, color, nose, intensity, characteristics, palate, sweet, intensity, texture, characteristics, finish length, finish nature. If you forget to comment on any one of these lines, you automatically throw away marks. Secondly, you have to trust your senses and take your time. Don't try to capture everything in one sniff or sip. Take several gentle sniffs. Focus analytically on one aspect at a time. First, look for the raw material, then look for the fermentation. The biggest mistake you can make is jumping to a conclusion too early. If you smell a spirit and immediately guess, oh, this is probably a cognac, and then just write down a textbook cognac tasting note, you're gonna fail if the spirit is actually an aged rum. Taste what is in the glass. Write your description objectively and let your detailed description lead you to the identity. Remember that the spirits you will be tested on are limited to single malt or blended scotch, bourbon or rye whiskey, cognac or armagnac, Caribbean rum, molasses or cane juice, tequila or mezcal, and gin, either a juniper forward or contemporary. Practice writing full timed notes on these using the SAT. Memorize the structure. Understand where the marks are allocated. And focus heavily on writing full sentences for texture and build evidence-based conclusions. If you develop your tasting skills to accurately describe what is in the glass, the marks are going to naturally follow. Thank you for joining us. Good luck with your tasting practice and trust your palate. Cheers.